anatomy and physiology. Hey guys, this is Dr. Sean over at the Natural BodyWorks, and I've been teaching anatomy and physiology and medical terminology for about the past 15 years off and on, and different things like that. And most of the time we're teaching in person, which is lecture or didactic. And that way I can get on the board and I can look at the students and I can say, you are not understanding what I'm talking about, so let's change it. Or someone can actually ask a question in real time and take their notes. Really big benefit for that. But if you're taking stuff online, here's 5 hints for you on how to really excel in those kind of classes. Ready? Here we go. Number 1, make sure you read the announcements and go to the cafe and all this stuff if it's in Canvas or Blackboard or whatever it is, because that's where we as the teachers want to reach out to the entire class kind of in a general way. Now, it's good to keep checking that about every day or so, and you should get notices that those are updates. And I'll usually send out a email blast to the entire class, which we can do right through the Canvas portal or whatever it is we're using. And that's important because that way I can communicate with you guys if there's any major changes. Now, the weeks go by so quick. For example, right now I'm teaching a 6-week class was over, it seemed like as soon as it started, so it's hard to catch up, and I know that weird things happen. Okay, so that's number 1. Read those announcements and read through all of the different things at least once every couple days, just to run through it. It's going to take you 10 minutes. Don't do anything with it yet. You may want to write a couple notes and things to do or whatever. Now, when you get to things like discussion boards, big news on discussion boards, and this is for any class anywhere, make sure you read the question, answer the actual question with vocabulary that you're using. Okay, now I had 4 classes one term, and that's over 40, it's 80 something students, so I had to read 80 of those responses every week, and then each of those students had to respond to 2, so 2 times 8 is 160. It was an incredible number of things I had to read through. When you're doing your discussion boards, make sure you're having a few sentences in there, use some of the vocabulary, explain things in your own words. It's pretty easy to catch when people have cut and paste, and it's also easy to catch when someone has read something and never understood it. And we're going through it fast too, so that's kind of in your favor, that's in your benefit, right? The cards are in your table for that one as a student, because we can't go through tooth and nail or nitpick every little thing. We have to look through them, find the vital information, and go from there. Now, the next part of that, the part 2 of that, so this is 1 was read all this stuff, 2 is discussion boards, the responses to your peers, which always requires 2 of them, and everybody hates it. I hate reading them because it's very difficult for people to come up with something different for 80 different responses that are basically the same response, because it's asking a question like, what is an elbow? And people are like, an elbow is between the wrist and the shoulder, it's a bone that bends, blah blah blah. Whatever it is, you can't do too much with that, right? You can't go too far with it. But in the discussions, you can find another odd topic about it, or an odd fact. Those are really fun. Actually, some people put in little facts or something they learned historically or something. It's called the weenus where we're from, or like an on bone, or whatever it is. And that way you can kind of get the full points, because sometimes discussion boards, the second part, which is responses, is half the points of the entire thing. And also, okay, number 3, here we go. Grammar, punctuation, and mechanics. Believe it or not, I don't care what class you're taking, whether it's math, whether it's anatomy and physiology, geology, I don't care, whatever it is, you're taking an online class. We live in a written world now. Okay, information is video and written, and those are the only 2 ways we really get things done. That's why I'm doing a video on this. But when you're doing a response or turning something in, make sure that your grammar is checked. Put a capital letter at the beginning, capitalize proper names, capitalize proper nouns, put a period at the end. Okay, now these are really simple things that just it makes it look like a sentence, okay, and make those 2 sentences in your responses super important, because there's always some points in those. Okay, number 4, when you're taking a quiz, take your time, keep your notes. Now, these days, you're not supposed to just sit there and be on your computer. I'm looking at I have a big computer screen here. You're looking at your computer and just taking this test and freaking out and not understanding. You have your notes with you. You should. If you don't have your notes, get your notes. Make sure you have the book. Buy the book. Get it cheap. get the book in paper form. You can write in the margins, okay? Another thing you can do is you can look some of that stuff up. You're going to have to learn how to look things up better anyway. And as you look them up more and more, you're going to remember them more and more, and you'll do better and better on more and more tests. That's kind of the way these things are developed. We all know everybody checks Quizlet, and everybody checks Quizzer or whatever the hell. I don't know what they are, but we know you do it. Okay. We also have programs, believe it or not, that actually look at what you've written and check it for plagiarism. Now, here's the problem with that. When you just cut and paste something, even if you cut and paste the question over into the answer sheet, that counts. So it may be 4 lines of question and then 1 line of answer, for example, if it's a simple answer. It may show that you're 80% plagiarized. So then we have to go through, and it just makes more work. So try and do everything very unique. Put things into your own words. That's kind of one of the new skills these days, I guess. Okay. And number 5, finally, when you are taking your case studies and stuff like that, you're putting your APA format. I hate APA format. It's hard to do, but most things are already listed in APA format, so you can cut and paste those because it'll give you a journal entry or a website or something like that, or some report or some document, and it'll have all the information there, and usually you can just like highlight that and click it and go find the information that you guys posted. So that's the easy way to get the highest grades. Now, on the end note of those things, turn things in on time, but go back and check because many things might not have a final end date. They always have an open date, which is usually the beginning of the class or the beginning of the week. Depends on the situation. Depends on the class. I taught at one place where we'd open everything on a Sunday morning and have it due by the next Sunday evening, right? It's kind of like a whole week worth of stuff. And some stuff was due in the middle of the week, say of a Wednesday at like midnight or something. With that, make sure that you're going back. If you couldn't turn something in, you see it's a 0, go back and ask and see if you can turn it in. Sometimes you can. Sometimes even some quizzes have 2 attempts or 3 attempts or whatever it is, and you can go back and do that same quiz and get the points for it, or at least get some points. Having something turned in late is better than never at all. Okay, with those. And the final kind of cinch pin of the entire thing is make sure you're interacting and checking on the information that's coming to you all the time with those. If you have Zoom meetings, those are a real pain. Just participate them as best you can. Take notes where you can. There was something that I totally just was thinking about and I totally forgot, and that is going to be and turning in. Let's see, we did read the announcements and read everything. Get the book for yourself. Okay, that's a good one, actually. If you can get the book from whatever class, go on Thrift Books or something, or go on some of these cheapo sites like cheapbooks.com or whatever, and see if you can find the textbook. If you can't find that textbook, get the textbook of the previous edition. They're generally the same. That's the trick. Most of them are the same. They have the same information. They might change a couple things here and there, and you're just going to get a different book. I went and bought the book for my class, which I have no idea where I put. It's somewhere in this disaster of a mess of an office I have. But I went off and I bought the book, but it was a previous edition and it has the same information, basically, okay? You can get those pretty cheap, and then you keep it for your library, or you can sell it back to them and make some money on the backhand of it. Other final thoughts, I guess. When you turn stuff in, make sure it's turned in the format that's requested. Usually it's a doc file or a docx file or a PDF. Whatever you're doing, convert it to a PDF. Okay, JPEGs are really hard to open up sometimes, and sometimes they come across weird, or they don't look great, or the resolution's poor, or something like that. PDFs are really stable, best way to turn things in, and all of the systems will receive a PDF and show it as a preview even, and so it's much easier. Okay, so the key to everything in these classes is turn stuff in. If you're behind, turn stuff in. Just get stuff in. Just go through it. Sometimes you can glean a couple points, and sometimes those points are pretty easy. When we go through and grade as a teacher, we're looking at a thing called a rubric. Now, usually in my system, which is called Canvas, that I use, it's over on the right-hand side where the grades are. It should have a rubric, and a rubric is what we're looking for specifically in each one of those assignments. It'll say, Did they answer the question correctly? And here's what we were looking for. Bop, bop, bop. So it'll give you a guide as to what to answer. It'll also say, was it turned in on time? Did they do the proper responses? Did they have good mechanics and grammar and all that jazz? Did they have a reference? So these are, if it asks for them, just make sure you get those things done. That's how you get your full credit. Okay. So these classes, one thing from a teacher to student, okay, and then other teachers that I've met and known, we hate flunking people. It like actually hurts our feelings, man, because then it's like, well, what happened? What went wrong? You know, did they mess up? Did I mess up? Was I really that bad? Did I screw things up? Did I miss something? Oh my gosh, what did I do? We think about that all the time, and we hate having to flunk someone. But it's not us flunking, it's you as a student not doing the work to get the grade. You can do more work. You know, you can sit down. I mean, half of this stuff can be done on the phone. You can sit on the toilet and do some of your work. Don't tell us you're doing that though. You know, do it some other way. But you can do some of it, at least contact. And also, in these systems, many times they're looking for a participation grade, and there's a little like rubric or a little like formula for that based on how many times you've logged in, how long you're logging in, and what you're doing while you're all logged in. Now, all this stuff is trackable now. Here's the terrible part. We're graded on what you guys do too. So if we don't get stuff done and we don't respond to as many as we're supposed to, or we don't grade them a certain way or whatever it is, you know, follow the rubric and comment on the rubric and turn in these like data sheets all the time, that stuff we get graded on. Okay, so that makes it more difficult for us as well. So we're doing more administrative stuff rather than teaching stuff. For example, I like to do a lot of YouTube videos because I know those are stable and I can keep them up. And then I'll do my Zoom for the class and we can go over other stuff and stuff like that. But anyway, that's 11, 12 minutes of me telling you guys how to pass an online class. So do the things. You can do it, okay? Seriously, you can do it. It may seem like it sucks, and the quizzes and stuff can be really hard, but start looking stuff up. I mean, you gotta be one step ahead, kind of. And I know it's hard. There's a lot of stuff. You guys have everything on your plate. I've had students. I have students that have had kids in the middle of the term. They've had kids go to the hospital. Parents go to the hospital. People die in their families. Car accidents. Loss of job. Get pregnant. Lose their home, find a new job, get a really good opportunity. So all of these things can happen to you, but you know, just keep on keeping on it. The biggest thing is don't stop. If you stop, it's hard to get started again. So just don't stop. Chug through as best you can. Getting a C is still passing the class. Now you can also relearn the stuff later if it's really essential to you. Now you want to try to get your highest grade and you want to try to get A's and all that stuff. I understand that. But if it comes to a point of you just getting through the class, get through the class. You can learn that stuff later on. I have an entire bookshelf, 2 bookshelves full of books that I've kept from school and that I've collected after school because there's stuff that just doesn't stick inside there, and that's just the way life is. I mean, we have lots going on, so we don't all remember everything. Anyway, this is Dr. Sean over at the Natural BodyWorks, whatever, the stuff I do. And you guys take care and do your thing, and we'll talk to you on the flip side, and watch the rest of my videos. And don't forget to subscribe and like and comment, right? That's your assignment.